Welcome to Martin Monday's Intentional Intimacy, where love, life, and legacy meet in the moments that matter most. Every week, I will share sacred reflections of my 30-year marriage before Martin's passing, as well as our life now without him. May these reflections help us live with more weight, warmth, and wisdom. Martin was a letter carrier by profession, but a life carrier by purpose. So let's take a moment and let intentional intimacy speak. Welcome to Martin Mondays. This is a breakthrough or breaking news type of episode. So I'm actually interrupting what was the previously scheduled flow of the Martin Monday segments to share this, what I consider a breaking news one. So this is Martin Monday's breaking news. Them boys in Philly. So I am recording this on Thursday, September the 4th in the morning. So the big game has not occurred. It is tonight. You know, that game between the Dallas Cowboys, Martin's beloved team, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So long seated rivalry. So here I am going to record this episode pre the game, and I may come back after the game and add an additional segment. But this segment is before the game has occurred. And so that's why it's breaking news. And so hold on and bear with me. So, like I said, this isn't our regularly scheduled Martin Mondays episode. I had something else previously planned, but legacy kind of has a way of rewriting the scripts of life. So, last night, Wednesday, September the 3rd, I found myself at a wrestling event with my bridge son, Montgomery. Now, wrestling is not at all my thing, but it is totally his joy. And so I knew he didn't want to go alone. And so I said, yes, I'll go with you, son. Now, before I even get into the story, let me say this. Okay. Like I said, this is all pre the big game tonight. It hasn't even been played. So I don't know who's going to win on the field tonight. I don't know if it's going to be Martin's beloved Cowboys or if it's going to be the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles. Don't know. But what I do know is this: the win has already happened in my life. Legacy, it showed up for me last night at that wrestling event. And that victory, no matter what happens tonight, it absolutely cannot be erased by any scoreboard. So let me give you the story about last night. Montgomery and I, we sat shoulder to shoulder in the very last row of this arena in South Philly. There were thousands of fans that were cheering, chanting, loud, and totally caught up in the moment. It was it was electrifying. Then all of a sudden, it happened because I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm not a wrestling fan like Montgomery. Out of nowhere, the crowd started chanting, "Them boys, them boys, them boys, them boys," right? And that kind of caught me off guard. And so I looked at Montgomery like, they're in this wrestling mode, hollering, "Them boys, them boys." To everyone else, it was about wrestling in that moment. But to me, it was about Martin, and it was about the Dallas Cowboys, and it was about their chant. Although Montgomery said it was about a tag team group of wrestlers, and that's their chant, "Them boys," right? How about them boys is the Cowboys chant. So that's the irony in this, right? We're in Philadelphia, Eagles territory, one of the fiercest rivalries between the Cowboys and the Eagles in football. the very night before the kickoff of the season and the game between the Cowboys and the Eagles. And here it is in enemy territory. They're chanting, "Them boys, them boys." Martin's words to me were echoing through that arena. Now, I don't consider that coincidence, y'all. I don't. In fact, legacy speaks. It's confirmation, even in enemy territory. And you know what? It didn't stop there. It continued, right? The event was televised live. It wasn't just a local event. We were part of the live studio audience. And so they were recording the video, but also streaming it live. So that chant, them boys, it was broadcast across the country, across the world. And it's so odd. We were amongst a mixed crowd because at one point, because we're in Eagles territory, they did the Eagles chant. So you got one moment they're chanting them boys, and in another moment they're chanting the EAGLES, or as the mayor would say, she misspelled it. I won't chant it that way. EGLES, or however she did it. But it was just such a mixed crowd. But I'm telling you, I felt that Martin was winking at us. And I felt that he was honoring the fact that, Martin's love language was quality time, just like Montgomery's love language is quality time. And spending that time with someone is very important to him. I don't like wrestling. I have no interest or desire in wrestling. But I'm telling you, it was such a sweet and beautiful moment. My son had such joy on his face. Like he's generally to know Montgomery and to know my bridge son, he's very reserved. And to some, they might even be surprised that he's a wrestling fan because it's definitely outside of his normal persona, his relaxed persona. And even in the night, he was pretty quiet and pretty laid back. I was sitting for a while and I was like, no, no, be present, be totally engaged. And once I got up and started doing the chants with the crowds and, enjoying the moments and ooh and an ah and, at the different moves and stuff, my son like came alive and he was totally engaged and totally excited about the event and all that was happening. And at one point he turned and he looked at me and he's like, Mom, he was like, this has been so cool. He was like, we're definitely going to get some ice cream, get an ice cream cone after this. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, we'll swing by McDonald's and get us an ice cream cone. So I said, all right. And so the main event came, we enjoyed ourselves. We kind of got out a little early before the exiting crowd. And as we're walking outside, there are no other food vendors outside of the event except the Mr. Softy ice cream truck. Really? Did not my son, in his excited state, talk about how he wanted to get ice cream? And then the only food vendor outside of the venue was an ice cream truck. So, needless to say, we got our ice cream. The night totally ended just like it began. It was unscripted, it was undeniable, and it was unforgettable. So, like I said earlier, I don't know today who's going to win, what the scoreboard is going to say on tonight. But this morning, right now, I do know that Legacy has already claimed victory. That's the thing about Legacy. It's not scripted, it's simply lived, it's layered, it speaks in chants, it speaks in winks, it speaks in joy, and it even speaks in ice cream trucks that are parked right outside the door. Last night, Wednesday, September the 3rd, Legacy came for Montgomery. or legacy came for me in Montgomery. Because I simply went to support my son. But Martin, he found me too, even in that moment. And together, that created legacy that was loud and that was very clear. And that is your breaking news this week for Martin Mondays. Now we'll see. I may come back after the game. But if not, just know, regardless of the outcome, either team, legacy always wins. Thanks so much for joining me for this Monday segment. Take care. How about them boys? So let me just reflect this back to you. I talked a lot about me, Martin, and Montgomery. Legacy doesn't always show up on a scoreboard. So I want to talk about you now. Sometimes legacy speaks in a chant, in a smile, or in an unexpected moment of joy. The real question is, are you paying attention to it? Because here's the truth, friend. Your legacy is always speaking too. It may not echo through an arena or be broadcast on live television. It may simply whisper. We just don't know. It may remind you that what you've poured out, it still lives on. So this week, I want to challenge you. Look for your legacy moments and allow them to be clear to you. Write them down. Share them with someone else or someone close to you. Because legacy, it's not scripted. It's simply lived. And it's waiting to be noticed. So let's notice it on this week. Take care. Hey, you. Come here. If the story that I just shared spoke to you in some way and you want to go a little deeper with it, then I invite you to get the tea. Yeah, there's Martin Mondays, and then there's the Tuesday tea, where we dig a little deeper with a thought, an experience, and an application. There's a blog where we talk about the lesson a little bit more. And so I invite you to come on Tuesdays and have tea time with me. Take care. You know, Martin used to say a lot of things. Some were funny, some were wise. But one thing he often said was, wow. Wow. Just those 3 letters. It spoke volumes. It meant a lot. When he didn't know what to say, wow. When he was excited about something, wow. When he was confused, perhaps, or even frustrated, he said, wow. And you know, he's still saying wow. Through this bracelet, he's still saying wow because he's still saying, may your whole life prove that God is good. And so in closing, that's my hope for you this week. May you have wow moments as you too are living out legacy. Live in the wow. Live in the reality of knowing that your whole life is good. Live in the heartbeat of Martin Mondays and intentional intimacy. May that anchor you in this week as you build legacy, one wow, one moment at a time. See you next week.